You were 8 years old, and you were already worrying about things 8-year-old should never worry about. Whether there was food in the house, whether mom was okay, whether dad would come home angry tonight, whether your little brother had done his homework. You were not a child in that house. You were a small adult trying to hold everything together, and nobody ever thanked you for it. Nobody even noticed. Psychology has a name for this, and the effects of it follow you into every relationship and every room for the rest of your life. 1. They became responsible before they were ready. Psychologists call this parentification. It happens when a child is forced to take on emotional or practical responsibilities that belong to adults. Do you remember being the one who managed the household, who kept the peace, who made sure everyone else was okay while nobody checked on you? Research shows that parentified children develop hypervigilance. Their nervous system stays permanently alert, always scanning, always preparing for the next crisis, even decades later. Even in safe environments where there is nothing to prepare for. Because the brain learned early that relaxing was dangerous, and it never fully unlearned that lesson. 2. They became experts at reading people. When you grow up managing adults, you learn to read the room before you can read properly. You learn to notice the slight change in your parent's voice, the tension in their shoulders, the silence that meant something was wrong. You became fluent in emotional signals most people never learn to detect. Psychologists call this hyperempathy, and it sounds like a gift. But here is what nobody tells you. It is exhausting. Because you are always feeling everyone, always tracking, always adjusting yourself to manage the emotional temperature of every room you walk into, just like you did at home at 8 years old. 3. They find it almost impossible to ask for help. Because in their childhood home, asking for help was not an option. They were the help. Barack Obama has spoken about growing up in an unstable household and learning early to be completely self-reliant. Oprah Winfrey raised herself in many ways from childhood. She has said publicly that depending on others felt genuinely unsafe to her for most of her adult life. This is not coincidence. This is the direct psychological result of being the adult in the room before you were ready. When you never had someone to lean on, leaning feels dangerous. When you never had someone who showed up, trusting that someone will show up feels naive. So you do everything alone, not because you prefer it, but because alone is the only version of self-reliance you ever learned. 4. They struggle to feel like a child even in their own adult life. This is the one that changes everything. Adults who were parentified as children often describe a feeling of never quite belonging to their own age. Too serious for their peers as children. Too tired for fun as adults. Always slightly outside the experience of people who simply got to be young without carrying adult weight. Psychologists call this age compression, the psychological experience of skipping a developmental stage that cannot be recovered later. You cannot go back and be 8. But here is what you can do. You can recognize that the strength you built in that house was never your job to build. It was placed on you by people who should have carried it themselves. And every time you find yourself scanning a room for problems, managing everyone else's emotions, refusing to ask for help, carrying things alone, that is not a personality trait. That is the child who learned to survive, still doing what kept them safe, in a world that is now safe enough for them to finally put some of it down. If this described your childhood in a way nothing ever has before, subscribe. This channel exists for exactly that. See you next Sunday.